We all know that neurodivergent masking is mentally and emotionally exhausting. I mean, for so many people, it's just a daily reality. But what if that's only scratching the surface? What if the act of fitting in is actually taking a massive hidden toll on your physical body, right down to your cells? Today, we're going to unpack the science of how that daily performance doesn't just drain your mind, it can actually hijack your entire immune system. Okay, let's get into it.
This quote, it just hits so hard, right? Because this isn't about being polite or having good manners. No, it's a full-time job. You're the actor, the director, the script writer all at once. You're consciously stopping yourself from moving in ways that feel natural. You're manually trying to figure out social cues. You're forcing facial expressions. But here's the thing, your body doesn't know it's a performance. It just feels a constant threat, and it keeps hitting the alarm bell over and over and over again.
So what even is masking, really? Well, the most important thing to get is that it's a survival strategy. It's not a choice. It's a tool you learn to use to get by in a world that, frankly, wasn't built for your kind of brain. Whether you're at work, at school, or even just hanging out with friends, it's this constant, high-energy effort to appear neurotypical, all to avoid being misunderstood or judged.
And this looks like real, tangible stuff, like holding back stims, those very movements that actually help regulate your nervous system, or forcing yourself to make eye contact when it feels physically painful, or, mentally rehearsing entire conversations before they even happen, complete with flowcharts of what to say next. Just imagine the sheer amount of brain power that takes, all day, every single day. It's like you're constantly running a manual override on your own operating system.
Okay, so how does this constant social performance turn into a physical, biological problem? How does a psychological strategy create a crisis in your body? Well, it all starts with our ancient, hardwired alarm system.
So here's the absolute key. Your nervous system is old school. It's not designed to know the difference between the threat of like a tiger in the grass and the chronic, low-grade threat of having to constantly police your every move. But see, the tiger eventually leaves. The fear of social judgment, that's always there. So to your body, the danger literally never ends.
The whole show is run by something called the HPA axis. The best way to think about it is like it's your body's stress thermostat. When you face a threat, it cranks up the heat to get you ready to act. But with the never-ending threat of masking, that thermostat gets jammed in the on position. The system it forgets how to turn itself off.
And when that thermostat is stuck on high, your body gets flooded with the stress hormone cortisol. Now look, in short bursts, cortisol is your best friend. It helps you survive dangerous situations. But when it's just flowing constantly, day in and day out for months or even years, it stops being helpful and starts causing some serious widespread damage. It basically sets the stage for a total breakdown in communication inside your immune system.
So this constant cortisol flood, it has a pretty devastating effect on our immune system. It puts it directly under siege. And this is where it gets really fascinating, because that constant stress signal starts to confuse your body's own defense forces, and it leads to this really dangerous paradox.
Okay, this brings us to the core biological problem. Normally, cortisol is like a brake pedal. It tells your immune cells to chill out after a threat is gone. But imagine hearing a fire alarm blaring 24/7. After a while, you just tune it out, right? Well, that's exactly what happens to your immune cells. They get bombarded by cortisol for so long that they basically become deaf to its signal. This state has a name, glucocorticoid resistance, and when the calm down signal is being ignored, the off switch for inflammation is just broken.
Now, it's super important to get this. Not all inflammation is bad. Acute inflammation is like your body's SWAT team. It rushes to an injury, it cleans up the mess, and then it leaves. It's protective. But the chronic inflammation we're talking about here is totally different. It's like a low-grade fire that never, ever goes out, and it's just slowly and silently damaging healthy tissues and organs all across your body.
And as you can see right here, the result is this wild paradox. Let's just pause for a second. On one hand, because your cells are deaf to cortisol, your pro-inflammatory signals are just running wild. That creates systemic inflammation, and it raises your risk for autoimmune diseases. But, and this is the crazy part, at the exact same time, that chronic stress is suppressing your frontline defenders, things like T cells and natural killer cells. This makes you way more likely to get sick. I mean, think about that. Your body is overreacting and underdefended all at once. It's fighting itself while also being unable to fight off actual invaders.
So we've seen the mechanism, right? This immune chaos.
But what does that actually look like in real life? Because this isn't just some theory in a textbook. The body keeps score. And this chaos translates into very real and often debilitating health conditions. The research is really starting to paint a pretty startling picture. A 2023 study found that neurodivergent adults who mask heavily are 3.5 times more likely to develop chronic fatigue syndrome. And let's be clear, this isn't just feeling tired. This is a state of profound, life-altering exhaustion. It's basically an immune system collapse, and it's directly linked to this long-term physiological strain.
And the risk profile just keeps expanding from there. We see these direct links to autistic burnout, which we're now understanding as a state of complete physiological collapse. There's a higher rate of autoimmune diseases and chronic pain syndromes like fibromyalgia. And of course, there's that constant battle with frequent colds and the flu because your immune defenses are shot. The list just goes on, affecting pretty much every system in the body.
So after hearing all of that, it's really easy to feel, well, overwhelmed, maybe even a little hopeless. But here is the most important part of this whole story. The science also shows us a path forward. The story doesn't have to end with illness. There is a path to recovery.
So just let this sink in for a minute. This is not a life sentence. Your body is incredibly resilient. The key here is that when the chronic stressor, that constant need to perform and mask, is reduced or removed, your immune system and your HPA axis can actually begin the long process of recalibrating and healing themselves.
But, and this is so important, we have to understand that healing is a journey. It's not an event. In the first few weeks of lowering that mask, you might start to feel some acute relief as your cortisol levels begin to stabilize. Then, over the next few months, you can actually see inflammatory markers in your blood start to go down. But the deep repair, the actual retraining of that stress thermostat, yeah, that takes time. Often 6 months to 2 years, or even more. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
So where to even begin? Well, it starts small. The first step is what some people call micro-unmasking. Just finding safe people and safe places where you can let the performance drop, even if it's just for a few minutes a day. From there, you can start working on actively regulating your nervous system to dial down that stress response. And finally, finding your community is absolutely vital because connection reduces isolation, which is itself a huge stressor.
And listen, this isn't just theory. We have actual data showing that it works. A recent pilot study took masked autistic adults and gave them just 8 weeks of coaching focused on unmasking. And the result? A stunning 42% drop in C-reactive protein, which is a primary marker for systemic inflammation. That is concrete biological proof that reducing the mask directly improves your physical health.
But let's be crystal clear about something. The burden of fixing this should not fall only on the individual. Neurodivergent people mask because our society often penalizes authenticity. So while these individual steps are crucial for survival and healing, the real, lasting solution has to be systemic change. It's on all of us to build schools and workplaces and communities that offer genuine acceptance and real accommodation.
And this just brings it all home, doesn't it? For so long, the whole conversation has been about the social or professional cost of being authentically neurodivergent. But what the science is screaming at us now is that we have to look at the massive biological cost of not being authentic. The burnout, the exhaustion, the chronic illness. These are all signals from your body that the price of the performance has become physiologically unsustainable.
Just understanding this connection is such a powerful first step. If you want to dive deeper into this, Dr. Devin Price's book, Unmasking Autism, is an absolutely fantastic place to start. And for more resources and community, organizations like the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network can be completely invaluable. We'll have links to these and more for you. Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer.